Have you ever wondered why, in moments of crucial decision, when you need all your mental clarity, your mind is hijacked by primal urges? Why can the smartest man become a slave to a desire that lasts only seconds? Why can those who have conquered financial empires and dominated entire markets be completely overwhelmed by a force they can neither name nor control? The answer lies in the darkest and most powerful depths of the human psyche, where resides an energy that can both destroy and build entire civilizations. Napoleon Hill, after decades studying the most successful men of his time, arrived at a disturbing conclusion. The difference between those who live extraordinary lives and those who remain in mediocrity is not intelligence, education, or opportunities. It's the ability to recognize, understand, and master the most powerful force within each human being, sexual energy. But not in the way society has taught us to understand it. Not as a simple biological urge to be satisfied or repressed, but as the very essence of the creative force that moves the universe. Look around you. We live in a society that has turned sex into a cheap commodity, a constant distraction, an easy escape for weak minds. We are bombarded daily with stimuli that keep us in a permanent state of low-level arousal, like caged animals, always reacting, never creating. The pornography industry rakes in billions by exploiting this sacred energy, turning it into addiction, dependence, and escape from reality. Social media feeds us constant doses of dopamine through exposed bodies, empty promises of instant gratification, keeping us in a vicious cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. But that's not the true nature of this force. What society calls sex is merely the crudest manifestation of an energy that ancient alchemists knew as the sacred fire, the Kundalini serpent, the primordial life force. This energy, when misunderstood, becomes a curse that consumes a man from within, leaving him empty, purposeless, always seeking the next dose of pleasure to fill the existential void that grows inside him like a bottomless abyss. Napoleon Hill discovered that all truly powerful men in history, those who built empires, created immortal works of art, made revolutionary scientific discoveries, had one thing in common. They had learned to transmute this sexual energy into creative, mental, and spiritual power. They didn't repress it, they didn't deny it, but they consciously channeled it towards higher purposes. They understood that the same force that can create new life can also create a new reality. Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, all of them, according to Hill, discovered that their greatest moments of inspiration and creativity came when they managed to channel this primal energy into their projects and visions. Not by coincidence, but by a universal law that governs the transmutation of energy. Sexual energy is the energy of creation in its purest and most concentrated form. It is the power of God manifested in man, and when a man learns to master it, he becomes a co-creator of the universe. But this journey is not for the faint of heart. It requires you to descend into the darkest depths of your psyche, to confront your most intimate demons, to face the shadow you've spent your whole life trying to hide. Every compulsive sexual urge is a message from the unconscious, pointing to unhealed emotional wounds, to repressed potentials, to aspects of your personality that you have rejected and that now manifest in a distorted way. The man who compulsively masturbates is not just releasing sexual tension. He is running away from himself, avoiding confronting his fears, his insecurities, his abandoned dreams. He is wasting the sacred fuel that could transform his life into a masterpiece. Every empty orgasm is a lost opportunity to channel that energy to create something extraordinary in his life. It's like burning diamonds to keep warm. It works, but it's a tragic waste of something infinitely more valuable. The real tragedy is not in the act itself, but in the unconsciousness with which it is performed. Modern man has become a slave to his own impulses, a prisoner in a cell whose keys are in his own hands. He seeks pleasure, but finds only emptiness. He seeks connection, but isolates himself more and more. He seeks power, but becomes weaker with each surrender to impulse. Imagine a powerful river that could turn turbines and generate energy for an entire city, but which is being wasted in constant small leaks. That is the condition of the common man in relation to his sexual energy. He possesses immense power, but he is wasting it drop by drop in momentary satisfactions that lead him nowhere. Meanwhile, the man who has learned the art of sexual transmutation becomes like a hydroelectric power plant, channeling all that force to illuminate not only his own life, but to influence and inspire everyone around him. The process of sexual transmutation is not technical, it's alchemy. It's the transformation of lead into gold, of animal into God, of impulse into inspiration. When you feel sexual energy rising in your body, instead of seeking automatic physical release, you learn to breathe deeply, to raise that energy through your spine, to direct it to your heart, your throat, your mind. You transform it into creative ideas, mental clarity, personal magnetism, charismatic presence. But beware, this isn't about repression. Repression is the other extreme of mediocrity. The man who simply suppresses his sexuality without understanding it becomes rigid, bitter, lifeless. He withers inside like a plant without water. Sexual transmutation is different. It's about acknowledging the energy, honoring it, but consciously directing it towards higher purposes. It's like a master craftsman who takes raw iron and forges it into a sharp sword. The raw material is the same, but the result is completely different. When you begin this journey of transmutation, extraordinary things start to happen in your life. Your mind becomes clearer, your ideas more creative, your presence more magnetic. People begin to be drawn to you, not just sexually, but energetically. You develop an aura of power that's impossible to ignore. Your projects begin to flow more easily, your finances naturally organize themselves, your relationships become deeper and more meaningful. This happens because you've stopped leaking energy and started concentrating it. Like a laser that focuses scattered light into a powerful beam capable of cutting diamonds, you're focusing your vital energy into a clear and defined focus. You become a man of purpose, no longer a slave to random impulses. You develop what Napoleon Hill called sex appeal, not just physical attraction, but personal magnetism, charisma, a presence that makes people want to be around you, follow your lead, invest in your visions.
But this transformation demands sacrifice. You need to be willing to let go of small, immediate pleasures in favor of large, lasting achievements. You need to confront the emptiness that existed behind the constant search for stimulation. You need to learn to tolerate the creative tension that arises when you don't immediately release every impulse you feel. This tension is the fuel of genius. It's the pressure that transforms coal into a diamond. History's great artists, inventors, entrepreneurs, and spiritual leaders understood this intuitively. They knew there was a direct connection between their sexual energy and their creative capacity. It's no coincidence that many of them experienced periods of celibacy or sexual abstinence during their most productive phases. Not because sex was bad, but because they understood that this energy could be redirected to create immortal works. Michelangelo, Da Vinci, Tesla, Gandhi, all of them, at different points in their lives, practiced conscious sexual transmutation. They channeled their vital energy into their creations, and the result was art, science, and social transformation that still impacts humanity centuries later. They understood that sexual energy is the very force of life, and that controlling it is controlling destiny. You can continue living like most people, being controlled by impulses you don't understand, wasting daily the sacred fuel that could transform your life into a masterpiece. Or you can choose the path of the inner warrior, the one who faces his shadow, integrates his impulses, and transforms them into conscious power. If you're feeling that this message resonates with your soul, that there's a deep truth in these words you've always known but never been able to articulate, then subscribe to the channel to continue receiving these transformative teachings that can completely change the trajectory of your life. The journey of sexual transmutation is a journey back home, to your true self, to your authentic power, to your divine purpose. It's the path that leads from slavery to freedom, from reactivity to creativity, from mediocrity to mastery. But it's also the most difficult path there is, because it requires you to confront everything that is darkest and most powerful within you. When you begin to consciously practice sexual transmutation, you'll realize it's not just about controlling sexual impulses. It's about mastering all forms of energy that flow through you. It's about becoming the master of your own life, the architect of your own destiny. You'll discover that the same discipline that allows you to channel sexual energy also allows you to channel anger into determination, fear into courage, anxiety into productive action. Every time you feel a sexual impulse arise and consciously choose to redirect it to a creative project, to deep meditation, to a clear vision of your future, you're strengthening the muscle of willpower. You're becoming stronger, more focused, more powerful. You're literally reprogramming your nervous system to serve your higher purposes instead of your lower impulses. But the shadow will always try to pull you back. There will be moments when the temptation will be almost irresistible, moments when you'll feel that sexual energy is stronger than your will. These are the most important moments of the journey, because it's precisely in these moments that you have the opportunity to prove to yourself that you're no longer a slave, that you are the master of your own inner house. The man who masters his sexual energy isn't the one who never feels desire. It's the one who feels desire more intensely than any other man, but consciously chooses how to express that energy. He becomes like a virtuoso pianist who feels all the possible notes but chooses only those that create the most beautiful symphony. He doesn't repress the music, he refines it, elevates it, transforms it into art. When you reach this level of mastery, something magical happens. You don't just control your sexual energy, you become a channel for a much greater force. You connect with what the ancients called cosmic energy, the creative force of the universe. You become a conscious co-creator of reality. Your thoughts become more powerful, your words more influential, your presence more magnetic. People start to notice something different about you. They can't quite put their finger on it, but they sense a strength, an authority, a presence they can't ignore. You develop what could be called a magnetic personality, the ability to attract the people, opportunities, and resources you need to manifest your boldest dreams. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process, like the growth of a tree. Each day you consciously choose to channel your sexual energy towards higher purposes, you're planting a seed that will eventually become a forest. Each moment of conscious resistance to the urge to squander this energy is an investment in your more powerful future self. You'll discover that sexual transmutation isn't just a technique, it's a philosophy of life. It's the understanding that you are a spiritual being having a physical experience, not an animal controlled by instincts. It's the recognition that you have the power to choose how you use every ounce of energy that flows through your being. It's the conscious decision to live like a god instead of a slave. And when you reach this point of mastery, you'll understand why sexual transmutation is considered such a crucial key to success and personal fulfillment. You'll realize that all the other principles, positive thinking, visualization, persistence, planning, are just different aspects of the same fundamental truth, that you are the creator of your own reality, and that the power to transform your life is within you, waiting to be awakened and consciously directed. Sexual energy is the sacred fuel of creation. It's the divine fire that burns on the altar of your heart. It's the force that moves the stars and can move mountains in your life. But only if you learn to acknowledge it, honor it, and consciously direct it towards your higher purposes. Only if you have the courage to confront your shadow self, integrate your impulses, and transform yourself from slave to master, from reactive to creative, from ordinary to extraordinary. The choice is yours. You can continue to be controlled by sexual energy, letting it leak away through 1,000 empty little pleasures that lead nowhere. Or you can choose to control it, channel it, transmute it into personal power, creativity, magnetism, and achievement. You can choose to live like a god or an animal, like a creator or a victim, like a master or a slave. But know that this choice isn't made once and for all. It's made every moment, every impulse, every temptation.